So, folks, I have got Wing Commander Harsh Bhardwaj with me, Air Defense Specialist. He has been in Indian Air Force for 25 years. Expert, real expert. In fact, I was looking for an expert on air defense for quite a bit of time, but I could not get one. So it's fortunate that he's with us, and we will clear a lot of concepts of air defense as far as our nation is concerned. So, Wing Commander Bhardwaj, you have been instructor, you have been trainer all along. So, welcome to my channel. Welcome to a platform where you can share your knowledge with the public. So it's really a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much, sir. Good morning, and really happy to be here with you.
So the first question from my side, and of course I am representing the other people, जो दर्शक हमारे उसको देख रहे हैं, और हम हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों में कंफर्टेबली इनफॉर्मली डिस्कस करेंगे. तो जो एयर डिफेंस का जो कंसेप्ट है,
goes back to the time when Air Force was, or the aeroplanes were first used in World War One for reconnaissance. So when the army started using Air Force or aeroplanes for reconnaissance, so the defending forces wanted to prevent information about their country to be used by the enemy for their attack purposes. It started from there. And the big fillip came during World War II. जब हमारा पहली बार अगर आपने if you have followed World War II, especially the Operation Sea Lion, which was the British, there the UK got involved, or the Britain got involved in this one. They first developed the radars and all that, and they were the first one to develop the systems to defend against the German bombers. So where with the basic radars, they would put the Spitfire and all those class of aircraft in the air to shoot down the incoming enemy raids. And they were very successful at that. And if you remember, one of the things which I remember of then the Prime Minister of UK, Churchill, he's saying, we owe our independence to very few men. So that was in relation to the air defense activity which was being done. Okay. So typically air defense is required by every country. So anybody who is protecting either the territorial waters or their land borders. So any aircraft, any enemy aircraft, or any aircraft which can cause any threat to us, or any airborne object which can cause a threat. In today's scenario, it could be a missile, it could be a drone, it could be a UAV. So when we have to defend our borders or our territories or our targets from any airborne platform, air defense comes into being.
ओके आई गॉट योर पॉइंट. तो इसमें एयर फोर्स भी इन्वॉल्व होती है और आर्मी की जो एयर डिफेंस आरटी है वो भी इन्वॉल्व होती है, बट ओवरऑल जो कंट्रोल है एयर डिफेंस का वो इंडियन एयर फोर्स के या किसी भी एयर फोर्स के पास रहता है. एम आई राइट?
Yes, to an extent, yes. Primarily because Army and Air Force both are operating from the land area. And so they are defending targets. Air Force in India, actually Air Force is the primarily has been given the responsibility of defense of the country. Okay. Air Force का ये mandated role है to defend a country against any air intrusion. Now air intrusion can happen at any place. It can happen at the border. It can happen into the interiors also. So there is so the responsibilities with the Air Force. Now, what happens is the army is operating in the frontal areas or in the border areas. So where the army is having their own targets, suppose the core headquarters there or a div headquarters or a div is deployed. So unko bhi, until unless the air cover is provided, they will not be safe. So enemy will try to strike them, destroy them, and we will have to defend those targets of ours, of ultimately their national targets. So against any air attack. So we have to provide air defense. Now, hota ye hai ki because the reaction time or the time available for any ground-based weapon to react to any incoming threat is so little. So therefore, we start doing decentralization. That means we have given certain powers to army. Okay. That you have your weapons to defend yourself. So therefore, we'll control in such a manner that you don't hit our own aeroplanes coming back from the strike mission or something, or our own aircraft flying in your support. At the same time, you're also able to protect yourself from the enemy attack. So therefore, army has also got the weapons. So both of them, they do this role. So much so the Navy has also got to protect their ships. They have their own air defense systems on board. Okay. So when Navy is operating away from international borders or outside the control where the Air Force can exercise control, like for example, they are operating deep into an ocean. and in international waters where we do not have the cover available. In that case, they have their own systems available. They have the missile systems available. They have the aeroplanes like MiG-29K, which is operating from with the Navy. They have the air
Okay.
defense role also. So they are able to protect themselves. So all the three services, they have their defense platforms.
ओके, आई गॉट योर पॉइंट. अच्छा, कोई भी जो एयरक्राफ्ट जो इंक्लूड करेगा, ऑब्वियसली उसका पर्पज है कि अटैक करना, और साइमल्टेनियसली ही हैज टू इवेड द एयर डिफेंस सिस्टम. नाउ लेट अस टेक द बालाकोट स्ट्राइक सो दैट जनरली पब्लिक को इंटरेस्ट आएगा. तो बालाकोट स्ट्राइक जब इंडियन एयरफोर्स ने किया, एंड इट वाज क्वाइट अ मैसिव ऑपरेशन, इट वाज नॉट ए स्मॉल ऑपरेशन. तो उसमें जो वहां का जो एयर डिफेंस सिस्टम है पाकिस्तान का, वो आप क्या सोचते हैं किस तरीके से उन्होंने इवेड किया, और उन्होंने सक्सेसफुली किया, तो कैसे उन्होंने किया होगा?
Right. Pakistan ka air defense system traditionally has been very good, and in fact we had taken few lessons from them in the past.
Okay.
They had they were more they had their equipment more from the Western world rather than us, like who were more only from the Russian side. So they were organized. They had something called an air defense command in existence for a very long time. Now they have all the they have typically ground-based systems, that is radars, ground-based radars, long range surveillance radars, medium range and short range radars, which are basically low looking radars, and they are called MPDRs and all that. They are chain of control and reporting systems, etc. In addition, they also have now supplemented themselves with the AWACS to enlarge their detection capability, especially the low level detection capability. So they have picked up Saab, the Swedish AWACS. In addition, they also have every Air Force has got to plug the gap, because everywhere you can't have the radars, and everywhere even AWACS can't give you a radar protection. So they also have mobile observation ports, which are basically a visual way of detecting aircraft. So they have all that. So in Pakistan also they have all these things. Now what we have to understand is that at every time all radars are not available. So even if I say that I have a radar, say we are now sitting in Pune. So if I say radar is at Pune, though it is available, it is not available 24/7. So the radar may be available at that point in time when the intrusion is taking place, or may not be available. That means not operational. One, it may be technically broken down, or it could be down for a routine maintenance, or it could also get affected by the weather. Suppose there is a huge weather and I'm not able to detect because of that. So that there are so many factors which may come into play. That is one. Then so the radar means if you say my radar is 300 kilometers detection range, it doesn't mean that all 300 kilometers, 360 degrees, you'll get 300 kilometers detection. It doesn't happen that way. There could be physical obstructions, like the hills are there, valleys are there, detections get affected. Then apart from that, then they also have the AWACS. So the AWACS are now integrated in all air forces across the globe. Wherever the AWACS are operating, they have integrated them in their air defense system. Pakistan has done it. We have done it too. So now because of the AWACS, now again, aeroplane is flying in a specific area. So aeroplane can fly in a particular area. It can cover a distance of 250, 300 kilometers of coverage in a specific area. Now it depends on the threat perception of the Pakistanis, that okay, where they think that likely intrusion can take place, so they will place it there. Now if we can deceive them, that means we can either pull them away from the place or intrude into Pakistan from some other direction, keeping ourselves safe from that area. We can enter that, and I think that's what the Indian Air Force did, because aircraft, once it is up in the air, and especially it is radiating from ground, I can tell you that okay, the AWACS is up in the air and he's now on station and he's operating. So from there we can make out what is the detection range of this, and then we can also, if I overlay the detection range along with the geography of that area, we can know okay, where are the likely radar gaps, and we can intrude that through that. And I'm sure our planners took all that into account when they must have planned this strike.
Yes, okay, I agree with that point. And that system, what you are saying, integrated air defense system, exists in most of the modern air forces in the world. So we too have got that system. Now, let us be very clear. People talk about a lot of missile system, but nowadays the talks are basically about S-400. After all, we have got air defense system with us. Why there was a requirement for S-400? And I will add up another question with that. China has got the same system. In fact, they have got it before us. And both of us, we have got it from Russia.
Yes.
So first of all, how it is going to enhance our capability? इसके बगैर काम चल सकता है था क्या? That is one.
Right.
और चाइना के साथ अगर वही सेम मिसाइल सिस्टम उनके पास है तो उन्होंने उसके लूप होल्स भी देखे होंगे और हो सकता है पाकिस्तान के साथ भी शेयर किए होंगे। तो इस सिस्टम के बारे में और इसके जो इम्प्लीकेशंस हैं इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा आप हमारे दर्शकों को बताएं।
Sure. S-400 डेफिनेटली एक बहुत ही अच्छा एयर डिफेंस सिस्टम है, देयर इज नो डाउट अबाउट दैट, and if I say it is one of the best in the world, I won't be wrong in that. So as far as the missile system is concerned, again, S-400 is primarily based on missile system. इसका origin का ये issue, ये basis है कि we are talking in terms of today. We are talking about only aeroplanes. Either they are subsonic or supersonic, flying up to a particular altitude. They can fly at 100 meters, or you can have SR-71 class of aircraft which can fly supersonic at high altitudes like 65,000 feet or so, or 7,000 feet also. Now, so we can detect and take them on with the help of the current set of missiles. Like I see Akash at your background, so it could be Akash, it could also be the previous Pichora 3s that we have, or Pichora missiles, or SAM 3s that we called. So we are only talking in terms of aeroplane, the manned aeroplane, or to some extent UAVs which are flying at a specific speed and height. But most of the countries today have acquired SRBMs, that short range ballistic missiles, or medium range ballistic missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles. So we didn't have any protection against them. So the current set of missiles are incapable of protecting us from any missile attack. So अगर हमें intercontinental ballistic missiles या ballistic missiles general categories से अपने आप को protect करना है, so we have to have a system. So SR-400 gives us that particular protection. So it gives us a protection from the subsonic aircraft, whether manned or cruise missiles, supersonic, subsonic, or the ballistic missiles. So S-400 will definitely enhance India's air defense capability. So that is the first one. Therefore, it is needed. It is needed, and we cannot do without it, honestly, because अगर आप अपने region में देखें, both China and Pakistan has got large number of missiles which they have, surface to surface missiles which they have come up with. So therefore we have to protect ourselves. S-400 does this particular job. So that is one. Second part of your question is that China has also got, yes, China has got from Russia. Now I'm very sure there will be, because they are selling it to various countries, and Russians also understand that they will be sharing. They are sold to China, they are selling it to India, and these questions definitely will be asked by the respective countries. China also will have the same question, that you're giving it to India, so our security is also compromised. So therefore there must be something which they will either give it to us and not give it to them, and vice versa. And our planners will definitely take it. Your question is very valid. There is this doubt is very valid in everybody's mind, that what will happen in case that information is compromised. Yes, it is. But I'm sure if we are spending $5+ billion on this, once again, the Acquisition Council would have taken into account, and service headquarters would take into account that what information that we can secure, which will not be linked to them, which will not be shared, or any modifications that we will get. Which will be India specific, and therefore the purpose for which we are spending so much of money will, of course, be met.
Okay, well, I hope the public is satisfied. All those people who are watching this video, they should be feeling comfortable after your reply. Okay, अभी जो लेटेस्ट जो ट्रेंड चल रहा है एयर अटैक्स में, दैट इज थ्रू ड्रोन्स, दो वी हैव नॉट डिस्कस्ड इट एक्चुअली, बट ड्रोन्स के अगेंस्ट में आपके पास एयर डिफेंस के लिए क्या सिस्टम हो सकता है, एंड विल इट बी इफेक्टिव? दैट इज नंबर वन। क्योंकि एयरक्राफ्ट जब आते हैं तो 4 आएंगे, 8 आएंगे, मे बी 16, मे बी मोर देन दैट, बट एज फार एज ड्रोन्स आर कंसर्न, एक तो आल्टीट्यूड, कम आल्टीट्यूड रहती है, रडार से भी डिटेक्ट नहीं होते होंगे, डिफिकल्टी तो है, और नंबर ऑफ ड्रोन्स दे कैन बी फ्लोन साइमल्टेनियसली। तो उनके अगेंस्ट में अगर एयर डिफेंस ऑर्गेनाइज करना है तो वो कैसे करेंगे?
Yes, absolutely. हमारा the current air defense systems world over, हमारा ही नहीं, सबके air defense systems are designed to detect and destroy aircrafts और हर radar system, whether it is an acquisition radar or whether it is surveillance radar, हर एक का radar signature होता है, minimum radar signature. Below that, we are not able to detect. And drones, of course, don't fall in that category. So that is one. So one is the RCS is less, radar cross section as we call it. That is less. In addition, the speeds are also less. Plus, they fly at different altitudes. They can be, the speeds at which they fly can be mixed up with the birds, So birds also get detected if they are in large number. A flock of birds can be detected in radars. So this is becoming a difficult challenge. So therefore, now the current approach, which I think again India is also adopting, and US in many cases using this, Israel, US, all these countries are already using it. So they have a new detection system. They are either we create radars or develop radars which are specific to drone detection capability. That is one. Or what we are now doing is that the other way, or one is detection. In our case, we also use visual. That means, like for example, Indian troops which are deployed on the borders, they also visually look out for drones now. That is becoming a little common. They also visually look out for drones and they try to find out. The only way to detect and destroy is to have some soft and hard kill options, which, as we call, soft kill option is by electromagnetic jamming. Because drones will be using some navigation system, so most of it will be using the GPS. So if I can counter the GPS by sending signals and confuse that little computer on board, then we have achieved the purpose. Or hard kill. Hard kill can be, we don't have guns or missiles against them. So now, like Indian DRDO has come up with a laser system. So that is the hard kill option. So we use laser lights, laser guided, laser lights, in fact, to hit them and destroy them physically. That's a hard kill option. But again, it's in a very infancy stage, and we have a long way to go as far as the air defense against drones are concerned. So that's a challenge. Definitely, it's a challenge for us.
So thank you for the last answer, Wing Commander Harsh Bhardwaj. अभी जो मेरा क्वेश्चन है, और काफी लोग ये पूछते हैं कि आजकल डॉग फाइट्स तो होती नहीं बिटवीन टू फाइटर एयरक्राफ्ट. आजकल जो होता है बियॉन्ड विजुअल रेंज. पाकिस्तान ने भी जो कहते हैं कि हमने ऑपरेशन स्विफ्ट रिटोर्ट हमने लॉन्च किया था बालाकोट के बाद, तो दे हैड द बीवीआर एडवांटेज. हमारे पास भी था कारगिल के टाइम पे. वी हैड द सॉलिड एडवांटेज ऑफ बीवीआर, बेटर एयरक्राफ्ट, बेटर विजुअल रेंज, बियॉन्ड विजुअल रेंज. सो इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा, एक तो टेक्निकल थोड़ा सा हमें इनपुट दीजिए, और दूसरा फिर कैपेबिलिटी को भी अगर आप कंपैरिजन कर सकें, और उसके फिर बाय एनी चांस टेक्नोलॉजी अपग्रेड होती रहती है, कभी आपके पास हो सकता है बीवीआर का एडवांटेज ना हो, तो उसको कैसे काउंटर किया जा सकता है?
Sure. So आजकल का जो लेटेस्ट ट्रेंड है, when the initial airplanes came into being used, we used to use guns. पहले आदमी, you would have seen in old movies, आदमी पीछे गन लेके खड़ा रहता था, and he used to shoot the enemy aircraft. Later on, then the guns got mounted on the nose of the aircraft, so aircraft had to come behind the other enemy aircraft to shoot it down. So and the ranges were therefore less. So therefore, slowly we got into the missiles which were short range, that means IR homing. That is infrared जो सिग्नेचर, हीट सिग्नेचर इंजन से निकलता था एयरक्राफ्ट के, उसको वो टारगेट करती थी. तो मिसाइल यूज्ड टू होम ऑन. तो अगेन उनकी रेंजेस काफी कम होती थी. तो धीरे धीरे, सो देयरफॉर दैट इज अ टाइम व्हेन कॉम्बैट यूज्ड टू टेक प्लेस, डॉग फाइट एज वी कॉल इट, दैट यूज्ड टू टेक प्लेस. Over the period of time, now we have developed the technology where we can fire a missile from any aspect. That means you don't have to come behind the aeroplane. You can come at 90 degrees to his path, or in the frontal side of his path. You can come exactly 180 to his path, and you can engage the aeroplane. For that, you have to have a BVR missile. A BVR missile is beyond visual range, and उसके लिए हमें पहले डिटेक्शन कैपेबिलिटी होनी चाहिए. That means एयरक्राफ्ट के अंदर, एयरक्राफ्ट के पास अपना रडार होना चाहिए, जिसको हम AI कहते हैं, एयरबोर्न इंटरसेप्शन रडार.
ओके.
और एयरबोर्न इंटरसेप्शन रडार ऑपरेट करता है अब ऑन अ स्पेसिफिक फ्रीक्वेंसी, एंड वो उसकी रेंजेस रहती हैं. जैसे हमारे MiG-21 पहले जब थे, अब तो आई कैन टॉक अबाउट इट. when we came up, they had maximum range of 30 kilometers. Look up, मतलब ऊपर देखने के लिए 30 kilometers. और अगर आप नीचे देखेंगे तो उसका क्लटर में ranges used to be very very minimal, and obviously it didn't help much. But when the MiG-21s came, they had better radars. F-16, they have a better radar. So these radars, because of these radars, then the missiles came which you could hit beyond the visual range of the pilot. So when we got MiG-29s, we had the advantage, like you said, BVRs. Those BVRs came along with MiG-29s. Americans did not give F-16 the BVR, so therefore we had advantage. And when you mentioned Kargil, in Kargil that was the case. So we could hit a target anything like about 30-40 kilometers in front of us, and that person had to come in the tail quarters or in the beam quarters, as we call it, on about 90 degrees to the path or 70 degrees to the path, and then only use this missile. So therefore they had a disadvantage, we had the advantage. Now these BVR missiles, so one I said is aircraft has to have an airborne interception radar, and it has to be having a detection. And thereafter, once the aircraft is detected, and once the aircraft comes, enemy aircraft come within the missile launch ranges, then the aircraft radar looks directly at it, and we call it the lock position. So that means the enemy aircraft is now locked by the friendly aircraft. So that locking is required because missile, what we are carrying today, is called it's a semi-active homing missile. That means first the missile will be fired. The missile is now being guided. The aircraft radar is looking at the enemy aircraft. The return signature, which is coming back, is being picked up by a receiver carried by the missile homing head. So enemy aircraft has to be continuously illuminated, as we call, and then the missile can home onto it. That is called, that is the BVR. That's how the semi-active BVRs are working, and almost all missiles are semi-active. The most generation. Then of course we have gone in for active also, where you fire and forget. That means any missile has got its own radar, transmit and receive. So once the missile is locked onto the aircraft, its own radar takes over, and then it follows the aircraft. So for that, the current generation, we had BVRs, semi-active BVRs. Now we had the advantage. Somewhere along the way, we lost the advantage because the airborne BVRs, air-to-air missile BVRs, which Americans finally gave to Pakistanis, they had better range than us. Okay. So during Balakot, that Operation Swift,
post Balakot,
post Balakot, they had BVRs had better ranges than our BVRs.
Okay.
So because of which, they could fire at a longer ranges than compared to us. So we had to enter the missile envelope if we have to engage into the BVR. So that was the difficulty that we were facing. And I'm very sure service headquarters, again, there's so technology keeps advancing. So there's always a time lag between the request being placed by the service headquarters to finally the procurement takes place. So all that must be happening, and because of which we did not have that advantage. That advantage was lost, and that is where we could not engage F-16s who came so close to us because of by our Sukhois, and they had the advantage because of the range, nothing else, only because of the range. But post that, now when we look at a Rafale with the Meteor missile which is coming with it, it has got far greater ranges. So now if the same situation happens, we will knock them off much before they can even launch the missile.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how the Su-30 in post Balakot, the swift retort by Pakistan, how Su-30 evaded that missile, that BVR missile fired from F-16, and it was fired. I know that.
Yeah, they fired at least, we know of at least 3 to 4 AMRAAMs. AMRAAMs are the missiles, the AIM 120. They fired at least 3 to 4. That's what is recorded and available in the public domain. I think Indian Air Force also showed the debris of these missiles.
Yes.
In the press conferences post the Balakot. So now coming back to the question of how they evaded. So every aircraft has also got the tail warning sensors. So moment the aircraft is detected by a specific set of radars, all the information is fed into the computer of the radar of the aircraft. So moment a specific signal is received, the pilot is informed that you are now being detected. And moment the radar locks on, like I said, the BVR missile, you have to lock on the target. That means the continuous radiation will take place. The mode of radiation of the radar changes. That receiver of the victim radar of the victim will now start giving that warning continuously. So the pilot gets to know that I'm locked.
Okay.
And the moment it gets locked, now he knows he has to take evasive action. Otherwise, the missile can impact anytime.
Okay.
So what you do is, moment now, as the two aircraft running into each other, the range of the BVR is high. Moment I turn back at a particular angle, the range of the missile drops down. because
Okay.
now the missile has to travel that much longer to reach me. And the missile is a single stage rocket. It
Okay.
falls after a specific time. So once I take a evasive action or turn back, the missile ranges drop. So therefore, I am out of the missile kill zone. So these are common tactics which aeroplanes adopt for to
Achha,
evade.
okay. And a lot of people they talk about deployment of flares and
Yes,
all those
shafts and
countermeasures.
flares
What are
are,
they?
yes, yeah, shafts and flares are primarily for the passive homing missiles which are operating on the in the IR mode, infrared
Okay.
seeking homing head. They have shafts. They generate that kind of the flares rather, not shafts. Flares is the one which will generate higher amount of heat compared to what the engine is producing for a specific period of time. So the missile homing head is so designed that it will go to the higher source of radiation, whichever is the higher source of radiation, and home onto that. The
Okay.
flares will detract the IR homing missiles, the passive homing missiles that we call. Especially during the dogfights, if you see in the movies, they are the ones which are being fired. So flares do that. Chaff is basically those are aluminum foils. They are designed in such a manner that they will fool a specific radar by creating a cloud around the target, so you won't know where the target is, because all these are reflecting surfaces, and their sizes are such that they will reflect the radar energy back to the source, and hence they form a cloud kind of a cover around it on the radar scope for a surveillance or an acquisition radar. So your weapons will not be able to identify exactly where or pinpoint exactly where the target is, and hence they confuse you for a short period of time. But shafts have got a limited effect, because the aircraft is traveling at a very fast pace. The chaff is dropped in the air, so chaff will stay there and it will only travel the speed of whatever the air speed is at that point in time. So, due course of time, you will be able to detect. But by then, the damage is done. That means it is gone beyond the weapons ranges, or you have to allocate your target and engage the target that way. So shafts have got a very limited capability.
So, but I think it's quite effective. This flares and chaffs, generally
Yes.
fighter aircraft, they all deploy, and they
Yes.
are there with the helicopters as well.
Yes, I think the modern generation helicopters have got the flares with them. Even the transport aircrafts have got flares.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So,
anybody
are
who's
there?
trying to
Okay, okay. One probably the last question. Are there specific challenges of air defense in Ladakh region from
oh
our
yes,
side, from
Ladakh.
Chinese side, both sides?
Yes, yes, yes. Ladakh is very unique as far as the air defense is concerned, and in fact, it has been a challenge in that area for a very long time, both for us as well as why only China, even Pakistan has got the same issue. See, in the hilly terrain, deployment of radars, whether it is ground-based or airborne, is a big problem. We always encounter hill shadows. That means if
Okay.
an aircraft is flying behind the hill, radar is not going to pick it up, because radar works on the principle of a reflection of radiated energy. So reflection will now come from the hill, and the aircraft is behind the hill, so we cannot pick up. Plus, the sighting is very difficult. You have deep valleys, hills, and deep valleys. So radiation, the lobe of radar itself does not get formed. Therefore, the detection goes very, very weak. So deployment of surveillance systems, radar systems, ground-based, is very difficult in that area. That is point one. So therefore, we will have to use uh, either the human element there, that means visual means of detecting aircraft, that has been done, or now we'll have to use, now we have the aeroplanes, and AWACS can be used. So of course, they are better than the ground-based. Ground-based is very, very difficult. AWACS can be used. But again, the problem with AWACS is that you have to have, if you have to keep an area under surveillance, it is limited by the endurance of the aeroplane. So if an AWACS can fly for 5 hours, only for 5 hours you will have the dark cover, and then you will not have. Or for if you have to give a 24-hour surveillance, and your say 5 hours is an aircraft which is going to fly, so you will require at least 5 to 6 aeroplanes to cover that up. So that means at least 2 to 3, even if you take a turnaround, at least 2 to 3 aeroplanes will be required for dedicated for that particular area. So that becomes a big challenge. That becomes a big challenge.
Okay, okay. Probably I will ask one more question. what advantage Indian Air Force has got over the Chinese Air Force in Ladakh region? People used to talk that, our, those airfields and everything that is at the lower altitude, they have got at the higher altitude, those their operating range will be minimized and all that. And then now the news came that they deployed S-400, from their side to negate the advantage of Indian Air Force. So, what is your
Yes.
opinion about that?
Yes, as far as the aeroplanes are concerned, these fighter bases are concerned, their fighter bases are at a very high altitude. And
Okay.
as the height of an airfield increases, the density air being less, the load carrying capacity of the aeroplane reduces. That means if I am able to carry, typically, say, if I take Sukhoi, which can carry almost about 8 tons of garrison or 8 tons of load, operating from, say, Pune or a forward airfield in India, say, from Ambala and that side, those airfields and all that, it can get airborne with 8 tons. Because of the height, the density of the air being rare, the load carrying capacity of the aeroplane reduces.
Yes.
So, and therefore, an aircraft will have to get airborne with lesser stores, lesser warload, or it has to compromise on the fuel, a combination of the two, and so therefore there are a lot of limitations which come. Whereas an aircraft operating from, say, planes, say, for example, an aircraft getting airborne from either Ambala or Pathankot or Srinagar for that matter, it can get airborne with full complement of its weapons and load and all that. So that is the great advantage that we have compared to the Chinese. Now, S-400 is again, now if I talk in terms of our strike mission going, and S-400 is deployed over there. Now here, I'm sure here we will have to take, though Air Force will plan, as we call, suppression of enemy air defense, SEAD operations will have to be carried out by the strike force to prevent being, intercepted by the S-400 missiles.
Okay.
So they will have to take up those actions, suppression of enemy air defenses by means of either soft kill. Normally we do soft kill. Soft kill is that electronically we jam the systems, or a
Okay.
hard kill. That means knock off a particular missile in from that and create a gap through which you can then fly. So a combination of these actions will have to be taken if we have to go and strike any target inside Chinese
Okay.
territory.
So, I got your point. Basically, we have got superiority there, and obviously, uh, we have got combat experience as well to operate in the mountains. So,
Yes.
thank you so much, Wing Commander Harsh Bhardwaj. It's really an eye-opener session with you, and I'm sure we are going to go for one more session on the hypersonic missile because I'm getting a lot of requests. So I'll request you to do next session with us on hypersonic missiles. So thank you
Sure.
so much. It has been really a pleasure interacting with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.